Well, it was quite a weekend across the Atlantic, wasn't it? With America finally finding out who their next president is. Well, despite all the twists and turns and drama thousands of miles away, for one sleepy bit of Surrey, it has even more significance because, as it turns out, President-elect Joe Biden's fourth cousin lives in Cobham, a fact that Ralph Biden only recently found out. Well, he's been speaking to our political correspondent, Simon Harris.
Ralph Biden has spent a lifetime fixing toy soldiers. It's a passion which has seen him collect more than 15,000. The tiny warriors have pride of place in his small house at Cobham in Surrey. But suddenly, Ralph has a new pastime. He's been glued to the TV, watching his cousin Joe win the American presidential election. Yet, until recently, he had no idea they were related.
It's pretty exciting, yeah. I mean, obviously, it's not going to change my life in any way whatsoever. But, yeah, I mean, sort of a family connection. It's a bit unreal, quite frankly.
Ralph's grandfather, Arthur Biden, in the white coat, was a London bus driver. He adopted Ralph's father. But Ralph has to go back another 3 generations to find the family connection with America's next president.
Years and years ago, when Joe Biden became vice president, I used to joke with friends that because my name is identical, that I'm probably the 16th cousin 25 times removed, and literally made a laugh of it, never really believing that what I was saying was absolutely true. It's quite sort of unreal, really.
Joe Biden's great-great-great-grandfather William had a brother called James, who in turn is Ralph's great-great-great-grandfather. Ralph has never met the president-elect or had any contact with him, but he's already a fan.
I actually think, and this is quite genuine, it's not because he's my cousin, but I actually think he's going to make a very good president. The man's got gravitas, he is sincere, he's got a calm, even thinking to him, and I think he could be the best thing that's happened to America, certainly in the last 4 years.
How close an interest are you going to take in the new president?
Oh, I shall keep a watching brief. I'll put him straight if he phones me for advice.
Any plans to go to Washington for his inauguration?
What? On my non-existent pension? I don't think so.
Should he choose to send cousin Joe a Christmas card, cousin Ralph does now have an address.
What is it? The White House, Washington. End of.
Simon Harris, ITV News, Cobham.
Good evening. It was perhaps unsurprising considering what the country's been through over the past few months. But today we learnt just how badly London's job market has been affected by coronavirus and the pandemic. There's been a huge 36% rise in people unemployed in the capital compared to just a year ago. According to London's mayor, it's the biggest rise in a generation. It's something that's been felt in many of our industries, including live entertainment, hospitality and aviation, as our political correspondent Simon Harris reports.
When Mary Bevan played to an empty Wigmore Hall in June, it was one of her last engagements. It was a performance to highlight the crisis facing professional singers. Today, Mary counts herself as unemployed, and she fears for some of her younger colleagues.
They're very depressed, they're low, they can't see a way out. And these are people who are much younger than me, have just come out of college, who have bright futures ahead of them, had bright futures ahead of them, and now they're sort of looking out onto a barren wasteland.
Coronavirus has hit London's airports especially hard, with the airlines shedding jobs. Young pilots looking forward to a long career are on the dole.
I'm sure every industry has its challenges, but to get the first job in aviation and then jump the ladder takes a long time. So to be able to reach somewhere and then suddenly having it lost, I'm sure my colleagues are feeling the same. So it's been a devastating loss.
During the summer of 2019, unemployment in London hovered at around 222,000. But during the same 3 months this year, it shot up to 301,000. That's another 79,000 Londoners joining the dole queue. Most of those job losses happened during that period between July and September, and it led to a noticeable spike in London's unemployment rate, with around 60,000 redundancies in the space of just 12 weeks. When this coffee shop in Isleworth tried to hire a barista, there were nearly 500 applications. Many of them were more than qualified.
People that I know can probably earn a lot more in doing what they used to do or what they're trained in, but they apply at a coffee shop, and it just shows you people are desperate.
At his Michelin-starred restaurant in the city, Jeff Galvin and his team were packing takeaways. Before coronavirus, almost 70 people worked here. Now it's just 7. The rest are on furlough, and COVID will have a long-term effect.
Our company was up to 14 restaurants, and we were taking 20 apprentices in our company per year. Last year we took 4. But this is going to be the first year with nobody, and we're passionate about training young people, and it's probably one of the saddest things for us.
London's economy will bounce back. It always does. But right now, that's of little comfort to those whose jobs have disappeared.
In terms of attempting to move on from the pandemic, we had that news yesterday about the vaccine, didn't we? And then today, we've heard about mass testing in the capital.
Yes, we've already seen the start of mass testing in a programme taking place in Liverpool. Now it's going to take place in large parts of London. And it's using a procedure known as lateral flow tests, kits which can give a result in under an hour. And unlike the current tests available in London, this one's aimed at people who aren't showing any symptoms at all. It's going to be made available in 20 of London's 32 boroughs, including some of the worst affected, like Hammersmith and Fulham and Redbridge, along with Essex and Hertfordshire. And the idea is that 10% of the population in each of those areas will get a test every week. And if you want to know the full list of London boroughs where the tests will be available, you can go to our website.
OK, Simon, thanks very much.
Croydon Council has gone bust, blaming the pandemic and a decade of austerity, with its leader also accepting the local authority has made mistakes. It's the only council in London to admit it can't balance its books. Well, our political correspondent Simon Harris is here. Simon, how has it come to this?
Well, Lucrezia, it's very rare for any council to go bust like this, but Croydon has been in financial trouble for a while. According to independent auditors, it overspent on children's and social care. It ate into its cash reserves and failed to make significant savings. Well, today the council was forced to issue what's known as a Section 114 notice, which basically bans it from any new spending. The council leader, who's only been in the job for 3 weeks, said COVID and austerity were partly to blame, but she also admitted the council has made mistakes.
The report from our external auditors does point to some of the challenges within the organisation, and I have apologised to the people of Croydon for those issues.
According to the Conservative MP for Croydon South, the council has a lot to answer for.
They've been vastly outspending their resources for a number of years now. All of these things happened long before coronavirus. The problems go back over a number of years, and the sad truth is Labour has led Croydon into bankruptcy.
Well, for now, there won't be any cuts to existing services, so the bins will still be collected, the schools and the libraries will stay open. But the council now has to draw up an emergency budget. It's asked the government for a loan. It hasn't heard whether it's going to get that yet, and it's almost certain that there will be big cuts sometime in the near future.
All right, Simon, thank you.
But first, a West London MP has told ITV News there should be a referendum in Ealing to give residents a say on whether they want to live in a low-traffic neighbourhood. You might have noticed the schemes popping up over the last few months. Traffic is blocked from certain roads to prioritise cycling and walking. There are now 89 across the city, but they are proving divisive, not least in Ealing, as our political correspondent Simon Harris reports.
They're meant to make everyone's lives better, but for Mary McInnes, low-traffic neighbourhoods are a menace. Thanks to the roadblocks at the end of her street, she's missed 2 hospital appointments.
I've got multiple sclerosis, so I rely heavily on taxis to get me to and from work and to and from the hospital. And I found that they just can't reach me. They can't get to my house to pick me up, or they give up.
Low-traffic neighbourhoods are part of a government-backed scheme to get people out of their cars. But closing rat runs has led to more congestion on main roads, and feelings are running so high in Ealing, a group of residents has crowdfunded more than £25,000 to mount a challenge in the courts. They believe LTNs are illegal because there wasn't a proper consultation.
We tried to, work with the council, and we've written them lots of letters, and we weren't getting anywhere, and they weren't responding to us. So we felt we were left with no alternative but to file to the High Court. Following that, thankfully, the judge has looked at all the evidence presented to date and believes there is a case to be heard. So we've now instructed a legal team.
Ealing's council leader says people need to look at the bigger picture.
It is about bigger, in some cases, global issues. It is about nudging people to use their cars less in order to tackle climate emergency. It is about the obesity crisis. It is about the air quality crisis.
Earlier this month, low-traffic neighbourhoods led to protesters taking to the streets in Crystal Palace, and the schemes have been troublesome in other parts of London.
This is the fire engine today on the corner of Tintern Street and Sandmere, and you're trying to tell us this is good for us, are you?
2 police vans can't get through either way.
The answer, according to one MP, is to let the people decide.
The only way forward is actually a referendum. You hear that this is an angry minority. Let's test it. Let's let everyone within the affected area have a vote. Do you want it? And the yes can be with qualifications and modifications, or do you want it gone and the way back to what we had before?
Low-traffic neighbourhoods are welcomed by many Londoners who want quieter, cleaner, safer roads. But they've also led to a bitter divide among people living in the same street.
And Simon is in the Late Debate studio ahead of his programme tonight. Simon, you've got lots to talk about.
Yes, Duncan, we will be talking about low-traffic neighbourhoods with MPs David Simmons and Janet Davey, and we'll take stock after week 1 of lockdown 2. I've been speaking to the leader of the Liberal Democrats, Sir Ed Davey, about whether we should come out of lockdown early, and when we do, should it be Tier 1 or Tier 2?
We've got to get on top of this health crisis, because if we don't get on top of the health crisis, we won't solve the jobs crisis. So I and all Liberal Democrats are arguing and telling the government, please follow your scientists. We think they know rather better than Dominic Cummings and your own advisers.
And when we come out, should it be to Tier 3 or Tier 2 or Tier 1?
Again, it's up to the scientists. I don't think it's for politicians.
It's the politicians who have to make the decision.
Yes, but I'd like to see the advice of the scientists first, and clearly they're going to not be giving that for a few more weeks. So it's not that I'm trying to dodge the question, Simon. I'm being consistent.
We'll also talk about the implications for all London boroughs of the financial crisis in Croydon. That's the Late Debate here on ITV at the slightly later time of 11 o'clock.
We'll still be watching, Simon. Thank you.